It's unbelievable.
Well, Congressman Trey Gowdy, who led, I think it was a 2.5-year
at least 2.5 years
into Hillary Clinton's handling of Benghazi. 2.5 years. Well, he said it's time for this investigation to close up shop.
Russia isn't being hurt by this investigation right now. We are. This country is being hurt by it. We are being divided. We've seen the bias. We've seen the bias. We need to see the evidence. If you have evidence of wrongdoing by any member of the Trump campaign, present it to the damn grand jury. If you have evidence that this president acted inappropriately, present it to the American people. Whatever you got, finish it the hell up.
Well, I mean, it's very easy for Trey Gowdy to say that, and we'll give him a break because he's never actually practiced law. He never even went to law school. In fact, I think he was a plumber by trade before he got there. So he doesn't understand the law, doesn't understand investigations, so let's give him a free pass. For the rest of you who aren't lawyers, let's just...
And Joyce can help out.
Joyce, you can help out if you can, because you're a lawyer.
Firm understanding of the law.
I went to law school, but I was never a good lawyer.
And this, you know, in Joyce's case, she's very talented.
First of all, this Russia investigation is just a fraction of the other special prosecutors' investigations. It's at about the 400-day mark.
Interesting. Okay.
Iran-Contra, why, that lasted 2,420 days.
Huh.
And Whitewater, which all Republicans were cheering. They loved that one. That was a good one, that Whitewater. That was just, seemed like the thing to do for an entire decade.
It did.
That was 2,978 days, and I didn't hear Trey Gowdy or anybody else while that was going on saying, hurry the damn hell up and let's just... And Gowdy's own Benghazi investigation, I don't know if he remembers this, but that went like, what, 297 days? And he filed the final report in December of 2016, a month after Hillary Clinton. I'm not making this up, I promise. I'm not making this up. Filed it after she lost the presidential campaign. Now,
it was important to him.
Yeah, it's 14 months after the Republican House Majority Leader, Kevin McCarthy, said this.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping.
Wow. Hey, guess what? Also, Trey Gowdy said that nothing's been proved, just bias. Just bias. This, nobody in the Trump campaign did anything wrong. This is just bias. If you have evidence, prove it. That would come, I must tell you, Congressman Gowdy, as a cold, as cold comfort to Paul Manafort, who actually, and I know, Congressman Gowdy, you weren't actually around during the Russian not the Russian campaign. A lot of people could call it the Russian campaign, Donald Trump's campaign. But Paul Manafort was actually Donald Trump's campaign chairman. And Donald Trump told me during the campaign he had to hire Manafort if he wanted to win the Republican nomination, because Manafort knew how to get delegates. So Manafort indicted, sitting in jail, Congressman Gowdy, Michael Flynn, who actually was the guy that Donald Trump and all of his campaign people told me flew around with Donald Trump everywhere because he kept him calm. Michael Flynn, Congressman Gowdy, you said nothing's been proven, guilty. He was also Donald Trump's first national security advisor. Rick Gates, also a top campaign aide, also helped, believe it or not, in the transition toward the inauguration. Guilty, also cooperating with Robert Mueller. George Papadopoulos, a man, and I do get tired of repeating this, but if Republicans are cursed with short-term memory loss on Capitol Hill, I feel it a public service to keep reminding them. I wouldn't do this, but for the fact that Trey Gowdy said that nothing happened to anybody involved in the campaign. George Papadopoulos, a man that Donald Trump told the Washington Post in spring of 2016, in the middle of his campaign, was one of his top 2 foreign policy advisors, guilty, also cooperating. And by the way, while we don't just have to talk, Donnie Deutsch, about all of Donald Trump's campaign aides that are now guilty, some in jail, but most of them cooperating. Well, we could talk about the 13 Russians who have been indicted. We could talk about the 3 Russian companies that were indicted. Why? There's a veritable cornucopia of indictments that are flying around, of plea deals that are flying around, of you name it, flying around evidence, and yet they're just saying, I mean, could we get that clip? I hate to do this, but I think maybe I have short-term memory loss because I really can't believe that Trey Gowdy said what I'm remembering him to have said. Susan, did he say nothing's happened here?
He said nothing's
Did he say nothing? Can I hear that clip again? Because I think I got...
We can play it again for you.
My
It's
mom
all right.
has
No, it's
dementia.
all right.
I'm a
It's
little
all right.
worried.
Take
Maybe
a
it's
look.
starting to happen
Here
to
it
me.
is. You can see it. You won't forget.
Okay,
Take a
I'll
look.
write it down.
Russia isn't being hurt by this investigation right now. We are. This country is being hurt by it. We are being divided. We've seen the bias. We've seen the bias. We need to see the evidence. If you have evidence of wrongdoing by any member of the Trump campaign, present it to the damn grand jury. If you have evidence that this president acted inappropriately, present it to the American people. Whatever you got, finish it the hell up.
I got to say, listen to that the second time.
You got it now?
Joe, I'm confused.
Hold on, Donnie. That's like drinking a cold glass of water on a hot Meridian, Mississippi day playing Dixie Youth baseball in my youth, because I'm not as concerned anymore.
No.
I'm comforted because what he said is just completely wrong. He said Russians aren't hurt by this. They actually are.
Yeah.
They're hurt. No, hold on. They're hurt badly. And there have been thousands of reports that have been out over the past 6 months. This is hurting Russia. Also, he said, we've seen the bias. We need to see the evidence. If anybody in the Trump campaign, could you put that chart up one more time? He said, if anybody in the Trump campaign did anything wrong, okay, yeah, okay. We're gonna have about 10 seconds of silence in memory of the congressman's memory. Yeah. And let's just look at this and soak it in. And then we're going to talk to a guy who's wearing a bow tie that shouldn't. Hold on. Let's listen.
Manafort, Lynn, Gates,
You can't count.
Papadopoulos.
Shh, shh. Okay, there we go.
Hey, see, Joe, but
Maybe he had time to focus on that.
Here's why I think everything gets cleared up.
What's that?
And why I think probably Trey Gowdy is right, because Donald Trump.
Are you really wearing that bow tie?
Yes, I am, and I think
Okay.
I'd like the viewers to write in, but this is the important thing because I want to make.
It's a real one. It's on your
I want to
About
make
you,
everybody
Donnie.
feel better.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump said that Vladimir Putin said to him.
Yeah.
They didn't get involved. They didn't, mess at all. So we know that must be true because Putin, our number one geopolitical enemy, said to our president, where our entire intelligence community has already said they have meddled. No, we didn't. So I feel better that they didn't. I'm not worried anymore.
Because Vladimir Putin said they didn't.
Yeah. So I think the indictments don't matter. I think it doesn't matter that Bob Mueller is doing everything he's doing because he's going to, at the end of the day, come up and say, oh, wait, Putin was right.
So
nothing happened.
So Joyce, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but
We
Trey
got
Gowdy
time.
was right about one thing.
What's that?
There is an investigation that is hurting this country, and it is, in fact, the congressional investigation that is not being handled responsibly in the House, where at least the Senate is doing something.
They're doing a great job in the Senate,
They're doing a
aren't
great
they?
job. But Mr.
Republicans
Gowdy,
are actually acting like public servants in the Senate, aren't
right,
they?
they're doing their job. That's what they're supposed to do. But the House, they aren't hurting. They are hurting this
travesty.
country, and they are helping Russia by not acting responsibly.
You know, I hold Joyce. There was a great, I think it was George Conway wrote a great lawfare column saying, when Donald Trump goes out and blathers about this or blathers about that, sounds really stupid talking about the law. We hold him to a different standard. We hold non-lawyers to a different standard. There was somebody who was talking about how unconstitutional Robert Mueller's investigation was. And George Conway said, you know what? It'd be one thing if he were Donald Trump and didn't know any better. But this was one of the co-founders of the Federalist Society, so he should really be ashamed of himself that he's actually, in the words of former Chief Justice Rehnquist, retching words from their proper context. In this case, Trey Gowdy, my God, he is an officer of the court. I consider somebody who's been a lawyer an officer of the court. And for an officer of the court to lie like that, And he knows what investigations are like. He understands that Robert Mueller is moving at a fast and furious pace, and he understands that he's in the middle of an investigation that has moved with ruthless efficiency over the past year. Trey Gowdy knows better.
You know, there are two things that really stand out here. The first thing is how quickly Mueller has moved. Every federal prosecutor will tell you that public corruption cases, which is what this is, they're complicated. They take time. This one has international financial legs. And yet here Mueller is moving at lightning speed with indictments in double digits in the first year. And that's really remarkable. The second thing that Gowdy knows is that everything that happens in the grand jury happens behind a veil of secrecy, and that's for good reasons, to protect the integrity of the investigation. Gowdy doesn't know what Mueller has been doing in the grand jury. We know that the Russian troll farm indictment is there. We know that Mueller has been talking with folks like Roger Stone. There's clearly another shoe to drop, and I think the question is how many shoes and how close they land to Donald Trump's front door.
And it's obvious that's what they're trying to stop.
Absolutely.
It feels that way, that's for sure.
You know, yesterday to me looked like they were trying to come up with a reason, some sort of a hook that they could use to pull Rod Rosenstein out of the Justice Department. They were trying to push his buttons. They accused him of lying under oath. I've never seen Rod Rosenstein that agitated in any situation. I thought he handled himself remarkably well, standing up for the best principles of the Justice Department.
So professional, and standing up for the men and the women, the professionals of the Justice Department. Christopher Wray, boy, Donald Trump, you really appointed somebody great there.
It's a really good hire.
Thank you for that.
Still
He's a
ahead
great
on
hire.
Morning Joe.
He's got great
The
integrity.
latest on the investigation into the deadly shooting in Maryland in a newsroom. Plus, NBC reported earlier this year that John Kelly was thinking about stepping down as Trump's chief of staff. New reporting that it could come sooner than expected. And will he be replaced? Morning Joe will be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.